That is just delightful. Hello and welcome back, or not back, as the case may be, to Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. And we're looking round at one of my little favourite numbers this time, the Lamborghini 400 GT. A jewel of a car, actually, and very, very much a part of Lamborghini as a manufacturer, as a car manufacturer's early story. The 350 GT, we had the pleasure of restoring the 6th production Lamborghini car ever a few years ago. That was the 350 GT with a hand-rolled and fabricated body, aluminium body by Touring of Milan. Lamborghini decided that they could, various things could be improved upon that. So after 123 350 GTs, they launched the 400 GT, which at first glance is identical, but it actually is not. It's a very different car. The bodywork, they decided to start making them out of steel because they wanted to go into higher volume production, and Touring of Milan originally obliged, and we have their beautiful little sticker here, sticker badge. I'm doing them a disservice, but they went bust in 1967-ish. Consequently, they couldn't make bodies anymore, so the bodies started being made out of steel, which is a fraction heavier, a few pounds heavier, few kilos. Dallara developed the original Bizzarini V12, 3.5 litre up to 4 litre, and he also made it more reliable and just a more hardy and tested unit. But he had the luxury of doing that because the 350 had been in production for 2 years, so he had some time to play catch up. This was also around the time that the Miura, if Dallara took his front engine rear-wheel drive hat off and put his totally revolutionary, radical, off-the-planet, crazy other hat on, the Miura was very much in its sort of gestation period at this time as well. In fact, it was launched while the 400 GT was being built. But this was the car that was more in line with Ferruccio's original vision. He indulged himself with all sorts of front-engine, rear-wheel drive sports cars, which actually was all there was in the late 50s and early 60s in terms of the upper echelons of the marketplace. And he envisaged making a touring car, a two-seater, comfortable, front-engine, rear-wheel drive, designed to drive long distances touring car. And that's essentially what this is. The radicals, the Marzal, the Miura, the Countach, etc., all came later. Not much later in the case of the Espada, but they weren't really in Ferruccio's original vision. It was Nuccio Bertone, the Italian styling house and body manufacturer, who convinced Ferruccio to go not just off-piste, to actually build his own completely different golf course. But anyway, so this was in Ferruccio's original vision of the company, of the sort of car that Lamborghini should be turning out. As I say, it's a sort of grown-up 350 GT. The body is a little heavier because it's made of steel and not aluminium, but the 4-litre engine came along and that upped the power quite considerably. And also here at the shop, we're developing some additional upgrades for the Lamborghini V12 engine, for this engine particularly, which in various forms fits Islero. This 400 GT Islero, Miura, Countach, etc., Yarama. We're developing a tuning kit for the engine, and this has got part of that in it. We'll see the results when we road test the car in a little while, but it's finished in a stunning colour it's the original colour. It was available at the time, and it's called Grigio St. Vincent. Why they called an Italian car with an Italian paintwork and an Italian name Grigio St. Vincent, I have no idea. Probably to get away with the Grigio Metallizzato, which was the Ferrari colour, the same colour, grey metallic. But Grigio St. Vincent, the original colour, with tobacco leather, which is just a stunning colour combination. I think it's the best for these cars. They look just absolutely beautifully elegant. The glass house, as I mentioned before on the 350 GT video, it's very much a teardrop. You've got this curved area here, which almost curves right the way round from here up. It's sort of like half an eggshell, and every Every window, apart from the windscreen, is double curved on this, which was frighteningly expensive to produce. But the end result is that the tumble home here is quite considerable. You look at an Aston Martin DB5 and it's sort of up there like that. So there's quite a lot of tumble home. And you can feel it in the car. It's quite small in the cockpit in these, but didn't stop them selling them. And it didn't stop people loving them. Now, the other aspect of cars like this, of this era, was the fact that they were always bought by interesting people, and people not exactly on the breadline, should we say. This car, new in 1966, 67, was 14,000 plus US dollars, which was a king's ransom in the mid to late 1960s. And this particular car, they've all been owned by interesting people, and funnily enough, I had just been over to Hollywood on various assignments, and I've been speaking to some people over there who've told me some very interesting insights to people who owned cars like this in period, which is not in the public domain. And I'm going to see if I can, they weren't particularly keen to say a lot on camera, but I can see if I can persuade them to do so. But this car had a very interesting early life. This was no exception. So I've written just a few bits down. The owner's given me this. This is the sort of person who bought these new. So this was bought as a wedding present, brand new, by the movie director, the very, very famous movie director at the time, David Lean, for Robert Bolt, his screenwriter, and Sarah Miles, his leading actress in a lot of films. And in fact, she was the star of Ryan's Daughter. She got an Academy Award nomination. David Lean, lest we forget, directed Dr. Zhivago, Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, epic movies. And Sarah Miles, she was in Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines. She was Robert Morley's daughter in that. Showing my age now drastically, but hey. She was quite the driver, was Sarah Miles, and she used to tear around Rome, and actually used to get stopped by the police all the time for doing outrageous speeds in this car around Rome. She moved to the UK in 1973, and the car came with her, hence the fact it's on an L registration. So it's a suffix L, which would have been 1973, 1974, if I've got that right, and or 1972, 1973. And this car officially shouldn't be registered as a 1973 car because it's a 1967 car. Anyway, the driver and vehicle licensing agency, there was no digital, it was all done with the stroke of a pen. Somebody assigned it an L number, which has stayed with it ever since. She used to blast around the south of England in this car, and on one occasion she was caught doing 130 miles an hour in the car, and she got her license taken away. And as a result of that, the car was sold. As far as this car's history was concerned, that was the end of her. And our customer has owned it for a number of years. So we've done an full engine rebuild on the car. We were very lucky to save the matching number cylinder block on this car because it had a couple of cracks in it, which we had to use some fairly interesting trickery to sort out. And again, I'm actually prohibited from doing that because of the technology involved and because our customer isn't too keen on sharing what was done to the car. So that'll have to remain a secret, but I couldn't resist the opportunity of showing this car while it's in the workshop, just before it leaves. Craig has worked his magic on the seats, which we've covered in various previous videos. The seats are pigskin grain seats, which is very, very unusual. There are only 2 Miuras with the pigskin grain seats. One of them was owned by Frank Sinatra. This car also had it specified. Very, very rare. So a very special car with an even more special interior. So yeah, we're going to take the car for a drive now and see what all that beautiful Italian engineering does. Well, I'm just pulling out onto the road. We've done some miles in this car, but I personally haven't. James and the team have been doing some shakedown mileage, but I can tell immediately it's very strange. At the moment, I'm putting together, with the risk of getting ahead of myself slightly, I'm putting together a kit for this engine which improves the performance of the V12. It makes it a more sweet engine. Just various technological advancements, easy for me to say. And one of them is pistons to a mutually agreed design from CP Carrillo, which they only do for me, actually. And I can tell almost instantly whether an engine has got those pistons in or not because of its responsiveness. They just make such a difference. They make the engine more rippy, like a big bike engine, in terms of throttle response, smoothness, power delivery, torque. They're just a big improvement. And this car has got them. I know that, obviously, because we fit them. But it's just raring to go. It's very different, the feel of this. To put that into perspective, the first car I tried our sort of tuning kit in, or 2/3 of it, was Harry's Espada, Lamborghini Espada. And the Espada is, was the fastest 4-seater in the world for a while. The difference, normally if you put your foot down in an Espada, the car takes off if it's set up properly. But when you put your foot down in an Espada with some of these bits in it, the back end squats down and the front lifts up. And the car is off. You've got bags of torque, far more, 20%, 30% more than standard. I mean, the difference is like night and day. And that is simply replacing some of the internals with more modern counterparts. And it's like a Ferrari Daytona. I'm not saying the performance is, because the Daytona was a very fast car even then, or particularly then, I should say. It does take off like an Espada really has no right to. And this feels, it's absolutely chomping at the bit, this. I can feel it. It just wants to go. Just the tiniest bit of throttle response. I'm not pushing it because the engine is not run in yet. But the whole thing is hypersensitive compared to a normal, beautiful Lamborghini V12 of this era. So I'll open it up as much as I dare and as much as I will, respecting the newness of everything. But yeah, what a machine. Just lovely. Warming up, getting the T's and P's right, and there is the Beluga on finals coming into the airfield where we're based, the Beluga XL. Great timing. Thank you very much, Airbus, for setting that up for us. Much appreciated. The thing about an engine like this is, I know I've talked about this before, this is not it is a V12, so 12 cylinders, 12 inlet tracts. A lot of V12s have 2 throttle bodies only, or even 4. The Murcielago, for instance, the Lamborghini Murcielago has 4 throttle bodies. This has got 12 throttles, and you can tell because the throttle response is instant. So I'm just going to open it a little bit. I can't do it much, but here we go. That is just delightful. It's quite cramped in here. The interior is not huge. It's quite a narrow car. But just that torque, it's off. Already it's just literally squatting the back of the car down and lifting the front up. Incredible. To have one of these new, never mind in such illustrious company, and all Lamborghinis were bought by interesting and unusual people. Frank Sinatra was quite a big Lamborghini fan by some people I've met as accounts, but it's just off. I'm barely touching the throttle there, and it's just off. That's about an 8 throttle, and it's off already. Again, the byword is lightness. It's not a heavy car, and that's when you can make the most of that. Those great big lungs of that V12, and this gearbox is excellent. This is the first model to have Lamborghini's own transmission, and they used ZFs on the 350 GTs, which were okay. They're a good transmission, good gearbox, but this is extra special. And it was I think it was one of the first, if not the first, to have synchromesh even on reverse gear, not just the forward gears. But again, it's intoxicating, that power delivery. It really is. And this is a steel-bodied car, but obviously the difference in weight between this and the alloy body is quite a few kilos, quite a few pounds, but that's more than offset by some of the engine mods that we've done on this. Just touch it and it's away. It's funny, over the years, maybe it's because my engine health has always been at the forefront of my mind, but you can forgive the rest of a car a lot if the V12 engine is actually running properly. I mean, the steering on this is very 1960s, and it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's adjusted nicely, the weighting is good, it's fairly direct, but it does feel like a 1960s steering setup, and there's no way you can get around that. No amount of electronic power assistance or any of the great things that are available will actually get away from it. The steering is what it is. The suspension's quite good. It doesn't roll. The ride handling compromise is quite good. It's smooth. But those 4 tailpipes with that V12 soundtrack, just beautiful. And here we are, a straight, an empty straight. I look forward very much to driving this car when that engine is run in, and we can give it its full potential. Just lovely. With what we've done with saving the engine, the original engine, and the seats, Craig's masterful work on the pigskin grain leather, I think we've given this car a new lease of life. And probably I can never really discuss finances about projects because my customers don't like sharing what they've spent on their cars, but we've more than uplifted the value of this car by what has been spent on it, which is a great result. And it's something we're very careful about advising people about. We don't run away with customers' money. Unfortunately, I've seen too much of it over the years. Even if they never want to sell the car, if it's actually uplifted in value, I'm very happy with that. It pulls greatly, this. It really does. I'm very happy with this. Very happy. That's a tick from me. Well, all I can say is please do subscribe. It makes a big difference. And thank you for watching another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop video. And we'll be back with something else very soon.